Men are not content to share power. They merely bide their time until they can seize it for themselves. You are surrounded by rivals who smile to your face while plotting your demise. This video will teach you the one discipline that allows you to see these plots before they are hatched, to turn allies into weapons, and to isolate your enemies so completely that their downfall appears to be their own doing. Let us speak plainly of things often whispered. The court, the boardroom, the council hall, these are but different stages for the same eternal play of ambition and fear. I have observed that fortune controls one half of our actions, but the other half, or close to it, is left for us to govern. To leave your position to chance or to the goodwill of others is to build your house upon the sand. True authority is not given, it is engineered. It is taken through a clear-eyed understanding of human nature in all its wretched and predictable glory. We shall now illuminate the path to such control, setting aside comforting illusions to examine the stark mechanics of power. Consider the fate of the courtier who is merely liked. He is a fable, his company is pleasant, and his counsel is sound. But when a rival rises, when a faction moves against him, what is his true defense? The fleeting warmth of affection. Men are fickle creatures, governed by interest far more than by gratitude. The moment it becomes more advantageous to cast him aside, his friends will vanish. His power was an illusion, built on the shifting sand of human sentiment. Your objective, therefore, is not to be liked, but to be necessary. You must weave your own interests so deeply into the fabric of the enterprise that to remove you is to unravel the entire design. You must become the linchpin. Think of the great structures of Rome. What holds the mighty stone in place at the apex of the arch? It is the keystone. It appears to be supported by all others, yet in truth, it is the one piece that bears the critical load. Remove it, and the entire arch collapses. This is your aim. Not to be the most visible ornament, but the hidden, indispensable core. How is this achieved? You must first become the sole conduit for a critical function. Identify a vital artery of your organization. Be it the flow of capital, the loyalty of a key cohort, or knowledge of a complex system. Then, with quiet diligence, you must make yourself the guardian of that artery. Do not hoard blatantly, that breeds resentment. Instead, become so proficient, so uniquely enmeshed in its workings, that bypassing you becomes a task of Herculean difficulty and profound risk. Your rivals must arrive at a cold calculation, one you have engineered for them, that the cost of your destruction is greater than the benefit of your removal. They must look at your position and see their own ruin reflected back at them. Let us take a lesson from the Medici. Cosimo de' Medici did not simply become a wealthy banker. He made the Florentine state itself a client of his bank. He entangled the financial survival of the city's most powerful men with the health of his own ledgers. To move against Cosimo was to risk not only his wrath, but financial catastrophe for the entire republic. His rivals were not defeated in battle. They were checkmated by their own dependents. He was not the tyrant, he was the creditor. And a man may curse his banker, but he dare not destroy him. This is the subtle art of strategic dependence. You must create a web of calculated obligation. Do a favor, but not a selfless one. Grant a resource, but with the implicit understanding that it flows from you and can be stemmed by you. You want those around you to think, I can achieve my aims through him, not, I can achieve my aims without him. Ask yourself in your own sphere, what is the equivalent of the treasury? What is the source of patronage, of information, of legitimacy? Position yourself as its gatekeeper. Beware the trap of becoming a mere functionary. The man who can only fix the aqueduct is useful, but he can be replaced by another engineer. You must fuse your administrative necessity with political and personal loyalty. Cultivate a network of those who are loyal to you, not merely to the title you hold. They must believe that their future is inextricably linked to your continued ascendancy. Your power should be a fortress, not with walls of fear, but with foundations of interconnected interest. Those within your orbit prosper. Those outside it find doors closed. Opportunities vanished, alliances brittle. This is the cold reality of sustained authority. It is an architecture of interlocking needs, which you have designed and which you alone fully comprehend. You make yourself the sun in their political solar system. The planets may grumble about the heat, but they cannot break their orbit without flying into the void and freezing. You have now learned the first and most fundamental principle: to build your fortress not on the gratitude of men, but on their self-interest. But a fortress, no matter how well supplied, can be besieged. It can be isolated. Your rivals will soon realize they cannot storm your walls directly. So, they will resort to more insidious tactics. They will seek to turn your own allies against you, to cut your supply lines of information and support. This leads us to the second and more subtle art of power. The art of controlling not just what people need from you, but what they believe to be true. For if you master the flow of information, you master the reality in which your rivals make their fatal decisions. You have built your fortress of necessity. You are the keystone. But what is a fortress if it is blind? What is a king if he is deaf? Your walls are strong, but your rivals do not sleep. They plot in shadowed chambers, they whisper in corridors you cannot enter. To rely on what others choose to tell you is to willingly wear a blindfold. The true currency of power is not gold nor even loyalty. It is information. He who controls what others know controls the very battlefield upon which they decide to be friend or foe. Consider this: every man you meet is a player in a game, but most see only their own hand. Your task is to see every card dealt, while revealing only what you must. You are the master of the table, not merely a player in the game. How is this done? It is not merely about gathering secrets, a crude task for spies. It is about the strategic flow of knowledge. You must become the central conduit through which all vital intelligence passes, and you must learn to control its current, what you reveal to whom and when. Think of the spider at the center of its web. It does not chase its prey. It remains still, feeling the slightest tremor along every single strand. Each person in your court, your company, your circle is a strand in your web. You must feel their vibrations. You must know whose ambition is stirring, whose loyalty is fraying, whose fear is growing. This requires a network of ears. But do not make the error of the paranoid tyrant who trusts no one and thus hears nothing but his own fears. You must cultivate sources not with threats, but with calculated generosity and the promise of future favor. The ambitious junior executive, the overlooked secretary, the discontented lieutenant, these are your most valuable assets. They see everything and are seen by no one. They provide you with the unvarnished truth of the court. But gathering intelligence is only half the art. The master stroke is in its deployment. You must become a surgeon of perception. You do not simply hoard facts, you weaponize them. A piece of information, carefully leaked, can be more destructive than an army. Imagine you learn that two of your rivals are forming an alliance against you. The weak man would confront them, revealing his strength and uniting them further against a common enemy. But you will not confront them. You will infect their alliance. You will approach the weaker of the two in confidence. You will share a minor, but troubling, secret about the stronger one. A past betrayal, a hidden contempt he expressed. You will not demand he abandon his new ally. You will simply plant a seed of doubt. You will say, "I tell you this not to turn you, but so you may protect yourself. He is not what he seems." Then you withdraw. You have given no command. You have issued no threat. You have merely introduced a pathogen of mistrust into their union. You have made them see each other as the greater threat. Their alliance will rot from the inside, and they will never know the source of the poison. This is the power of controlled information. You are not a participant in their conflicts, you are the director of them. You shape their reality. They believe they are making free choices, while you are the one who has laid the paths before them, guiding them toward the outcome you desire. Your knowledge becomes a tool to isolate your enemies, making them paranoid and turning them against each other, while you remain above the fray, the dispassionate arbiter of a truth only you fully possess. You now see the board, you control the narrative, but a kingdom of isolated individuals is still a kingdom. Your rivals, even suspicious of one another, may yet share a common resentment of you. To truly secure your dominion, you must not merely isolate them. You must shatter the very possibility of their unity. You must learn the ancient art of turning their collective fear and ambition inward, so they see each other not as potential allies, but as the primary obstacles to their own desires. This is the third and most brutal principle of control. You have learned to see the board and control the narrative. You know who plots against you. But a pack of wolves, though each may eye the other with suspicion, will still turn as one to bring down the stag. Your rivals, even isolated, share a common interest, your removal. To allow this potential for unity is the gravest of errors. You must not merely watch them. You must actively turn their ambitions against one another. You must become the master of fomenting division. A united court is a fortress that besieges you. Your task is to ensure that fortress is never built, or better yet, to convince the builders that the greatest threat to their safety lies within their own walls. Understand this fundamental truth: no alliance is pure. Beneath the surface of every pact lies a seething pool of envy, fear, and competing desires. Your role is to stir these waters until they drown the pact itself. Look to the strategy of the Roman Senate. They rarely conquered a formidable enemy outright through sheer force. Instead, they mastered the art of divide et impera. Divide and rule. They would identify the weakest tribe in a confederation, offer them favorable terms, and promise them protection from their stronger allies. They turned neighbor against neighbor, making Rome the indispensable arbiter. The enemy confederation, consumed with internal betrayal, would crumble before a single legionary standard was raised. This is your model. You are Rome. Your rivals are the fractious tribes. How is this executed? You must first be a cartographer of resentment. Map the hidden fissures in the relationships around you. Who feels undervalued? Who secretly believes they are the true genius behind another's success? Who fears being overshadowed? Once you have this map, you begin your work, not with a declaration of war, but with a whisper. You approach the envious one. You do not accuse his rival. You praise him, but you do so with a carefully crafted, backhanded admiration. You might say, "It is remarkable how bold Antonio has become. He takes such large risks with your shared reputation. He must be very confident in your support. Or perhaps he believes he no longer needs it." You have not said Antonio is his enemy. You have merely held up a mirror to his own deepest insecurity. You have reframed Antonio's ambition as a direct threat to him. Then you withdraw. You have planted the seed. Now, you let their own nature cultivate it. Suspicion grows in the dark soil of a man's mind far better than it does in the open light of fact. Your next move is to create a scarcity where none exists. Power, recognition, resources frame them as limited. Then, subtly favor one rival over another, but do so in a way that can be discovered. Let the slighted party find evidence that his counterpart received a privilege he was denied. They will not blame you, the dispenser of favors. They will blame the one who received them. They will see him as having stolen what was rightfully theirs. You are the puppeteer, and their emotions, their envy, their pride, their paranoia are your strings. You pull one, and the other dances into a rage against his fellow. The ultimate goal is to make them see each other as the primary obstacle to their own ascent. Your power becomes a secondary concern. Why would they waste energy conspiring against you when the man in the office next door is actively, in their mind, sabotaging their every move? You channel their aggression inward. They become their own worst enemies, and you, the watchful prince, are left as the only stable pillar in a room collapsing from within. You have now learned to shatter alliances before they can form. You have turned your court into a collection of isolated, squabbling individuals. But here lies a new danger. For when you push men too far into a corner, when their schemes against one another fail, Their frustration may yet coalesce into a single, desperate, and unpredictable fury directed at you. To prevent this, you must master a more refined art. You must learn to strike without appearing to be the aggressor. You must make your most ruthless moves seem like the dispassionate, inevitable hand of fate itself. You have turned your rivals against one another. The court is a nest of serpents, each poised to strike its neighbor. But a cornered snake, in its final desperation, may still lunge at the hand that placed it there. Your isolation of them is complete, but their collective resentment is a volatile substance. It seeks a target. It seeks you. To act from naked anger or personal grievance now would be your undoing. It would unite them against a common, obvious tyrant. Your vengeance must not taste of vengeance. It must taste of necessity. The weak are ruled by their passions. A perceived insult demands a personal reply. A challenge to honor requires a public satisfaction. This is the logic of the duel, not of the throne. It is a trap. You must learn to wield the dagger of policy, not passion. Your every aggressive act must be framed not as what you want, but as what the stability of the state, the health of the company, the greater good objectively requires. Consider the fate of the ancient Roman, Lucius Junius Brutus. After the expulsion of the kings, his own sons conspired to restore the monarchy. What was his response? Did he, as a father, weep and beg for mercy? No. As a founder of the Republic, he presided over their trial and condemned them to death. He made the survival of the new state more important than his own blood. His personal tragedy became a public monument to his unwavering principle. His power was cemented not in cruelty, but in cold, sacrificial duty. This is the mask you must wear, the mask of the dispassionate guardian. When you must remove a rival, you do not do it because he insulted you. You do it because his continued presence creates unacceptable risk, or fosters a culture of discord, or threatens the collective mission. You marshal evidence of his incompetence, his disloyalty to the project, his negative impact on morale. You make the case that he is a cancer, and you are merely the surgeon. You are not the executioner. You are the scalpel. Let us say a talented but arrogant lieutenant has become a focal point for dissent. The weak prince would rage at the insolence and have him dismissed in a fit of pique, making him a martyr. You will not. You will wait. You will allow him to overreach. When he makes a strategic error, and he will, for his arrogance blinds him, you will not punish him for it. You will amplify it. You will quietly ensure that the consequences of his failure are felt by everyone. You will let the damage spread just enough. Then, and only then, will you act. You will gather your counsel, not with anger, but with a heavy heart. You will say, his talents are great. His judgment has cost us dearly. Our investors are nervous. Morale is shaken. For the health of the entire organization, a change must be made. This pains me more than you know. You see the alchemy. You have transformed a personal rivalry into a matter of public welfare. You have made his removal an act of leadership, not of spite. Those who supported him will now question their judgment, for his failure has harmed them too. You appear strong, decisive, and regrettably necessary. Your personal desire is erased from the equation. You are not a man satisfying a grudge. You are a force of nature, an instrument of inevitable consequence. This is how you strike without leaving fingerprints. This is how you bury your rivals in the cold, clean soil of policy, where no flowers of martyrdom can grow. You have now mastered the art of the dispassionate purge. You can remove obstacles while appearing to serve a higher cause. But there is one final, supreme art. An art that renders the dagger unnecessary. An art that makes your rivals lay down their arms not through force, but through a profound and hopeless conviction. It is the art of crafting an aura of such absolute, unassailable power that resistance itself seems a fool's errand. This is the culmination of all we have discussed. The projection of inevitability. The ultimate victory is not won on the battlefield. It is won in the mind, long before the first sword is drawn. You have learned to be necessary, to control information, to foment division, and to strike with dispassion. But these are all actions. They require effort. They create friction. There is a higher state. A state where your ascendancy is not contested because it is accepted as a law of nature. Where your rivals do not surrender, they simply cease to resist. This is the art of crafting the illusion of inevitability. Men are creatures of calculation. They will fight a man. They will not fight a tide. They will challenge a king. They will not challenge a dynasty. Your goal is to transform yourself from a mere player in the game into an unchangeable feature of the landscape. Think of the rise of Octavian, who would become Augustus Caesar. After the chaos of the civil wars, he did not simply declare himself dictator. He painstakingly constructed a new reality. He accumulated titles, princeps, Imperator Augustus, each layering his authority with a different shade of legitimacy. He rebuilt Rome, not just in marble, but in the perception of its people. He became the father of the country. To oppose him was not merely treason, it was sacrilege. It was to stand against the restored order itself. His power became synonymous with peace and stability. To challenge him was to champion a return to the bloody chaos everyone wished to forget. This is your template. You must make your leadership synonymous with order, and any alternative synonymous with chaos. How is this aura built? It is a theater of power, staged with meticulous care. First, you must master the appearance of momentum. Your victories must be visible, but never boasted. They should be reported as matter of fact events, the natural progression of things. A promotion, a major contract secured, a key rival quietly sidelined. Each event is a stone laid in the path of your inevitable rise. You never speak of the path itself. You simply keep laying stones, and let others observe the road forming behind you. Second, you must cultivate an image of unshakable calm. While others react, you respond. While others panic, you deliberate. Your equanimity in crisis becomes a powerful signal that you possess a certainty they lack. That you see further. You are not fighting the current, but that you are the current. Your language must change. You stop talking about your ambitions. You begin speaking of your responsibilities. You cease discussing possibilities and begin discussing certainties. You talk of the next phase, the coming challenges, as if your leadership is the fixed point around which the future will inevitably organize itself. Bind your identity to the very survival of the enterprise. Let it be known subtly that entire departments, key projects, vital alliances are tethered to you personally. You become too big to fail. To remove you is not to change leadership, it is to risk an avalanche. Your rivals, already isolated and suspicious of one another, will look at this edifice you have constructed. They will calculate their odds, and they will find not a weakness to exploit, but a mountain too high to climb. They will resign themselves to your rule. Not out of love, or even out of fear, but out of a cold, rational conviction that resistance is futile, that your victory is already a fact of the past, merely waiting to be acknowledged in the present. You have not defeated them. You have made their defeat a foregone conclusion. This is the pinnacle of power when you no longer need to command because your will is anticipated. When you no longer need to defeat your enemies because they have already defeated themselves in their own minds. You have learned to rule the game. But remember, every throne sits upon a foundation, and the most dangerous threats are never from a rival upon the same board. They are from those who refuse to play by any rules at all. They are from the outsider, the idealist, the true believer. Their power comes from a source you have not yet considered, and against which your cold realism may be your greatest weakness. Thus, we see the architecture of true control. It is not a brutish display of force, but a subtle cultivation of perception. You have learned to be the keystone, not the loudest voice. The spider, not the fly. The dispassionate surgeon, not the vengeful brawler. You shape the board, control the narrative, and channel the ambitions of others until your victory appears not as a conquest, but as an inevitability. This is the essence of power, to make men serve your interests, believing they serve their own. The world preaches virtue, but rewards results. Will you cling to their comforting illusions, or will you master the stark realities that truly govern men? The lesson is complete, but your education has only begun. If you wish to continue this study, you must act. Comment below with your most potent insight, so we may see who has truly understood these principles. Subscribe to this channel, for there are far deeper stratagems yet to be unveiled, and share this video not with your rivals, but with a single, trusted ally, if indeed you believe such a person exists.